Do you know what that and that have in common? Today you're going to find out in Trade Your Way to Freedom. We've got a really exciting session planned. Let's jump into it right away. Let me know what you're trading and basically feel free to share this with other traders. We're looking to improve their trading edge so they can be more consistently profitable. Let's jump in the video right now. Okay, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's session. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Here's what we're going to be covering. We've got some great stocks to be taking a look at. We'll take a look at our performance year to date and then, of course, a trade secret. So not wanting to waste any time, I'll say good morning, Anil. I'm glad you're online.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
And we missed your presence last week, although we did like your stock that you picked. And so let's go ahead and jump over and take a look at our charts. We're going to be basically running kind of hot this morning, which is okay. Let's start off with the spiders and representing the S&P. Note that I've laid in a Fibonacci retracement here, and that Fibonacci retracement right there should be modified slightly. And as you can see, price actions have pushed up with the spiders, have pushed up into the midsection of this level of supply. That's where the sellers are. That goes back all the way to March of 2022. And we have worked our way all the way back up into that area. Now, there's still another level above that. And I just wanted to notice that that is a complete about a 200% move up to the upside there from this last move. I always find that interesting. And also 127, the 1618 extension is at $472, which puts us right square dab into that upper zone of supply or upper value zone. Let me remove that drawing and get us another picture here. So what are we looking at? The market has been very reluctant to go down. We have been waiting for a nice pullback with the various indexes. The S&P, again, showing that TSI, the momentum has shifted. For what is missing from this equation? What's missing from the equation is this. What's missing from the equation is, while the TSI has in fact crossed over to the downside, it has not done like it did in the past, like we see over here, where you get a cross, bearish candlestick, and away you go. No bearish candlestick on the S&P yet. Do we have a bearish candlestick over on the weekly chart? No, we don't. And TSI, while it is overextended and overbought, it hasn't really flipped over to drop to the downside yet. And there's a couple of things that we want to be watching for. Is one, we've got this steeper trend line, so that could provide some level of support, and then this shallower trend line, which also could provide secondary support, and then a little bit of a gap up that we see right here that is identified with that level of demand where prices could just get into that and then rebound up from there. A couple of things to keep in mind as we go into the end of the year, though, is keep in mind that one, August and September tend to be weaker months. And therefore, it would not be surprising, with as strong as the market has been, for it to push on through, for it to basically just drive sideways for the August and September timeframe, and then go back into rally mode going into the end of the year. One of the things that I've been watching, and I was sharing with Anil earlier, it is Fed week. The probabilities of a Fed raising the rates 25 basis points is 99.8% this coming week. What do you think that's going to do to the market? If you're joining us over there on the YouTube channel or join us live, just leave a comment down there for everybody to see. Do you think this is priced in? Yes or no? If the Fed doesn't raise rates this particular time, what kind of a rally will that cause in the market, or not a rally? What's your thoughts on that, Anil?
I think it's maybe halfway baked in. But I still expect a short-term movement one way or the other. Just market's going to react.
Okay.
Then settle down.
This website here, provides a really good indication of the probability of a Fed rate increase. What I was playing with this a little bit, going all the way out to like July of next year, right before the election. And look what's going on over here. We've got a strong probability that the rates are going to be reduced. Now, I'm not going to say that it's politically motivated, but I find it very interesting that the reduction in rates, which would probably stimulate the stock market, would basically show that this shows that would take place prior to the election of next year. Waiting to hear from guidance from Powell. Yep, that's right, Tim. So this is a little tool that to utilize. And let's go ahead and back over to the next entity that we want to take a look at, which is the Qs. The Qs a little bit slightly different story. We pushed up and broke through this resistance zone here. That's where it was a zone of supply. Broke through that, and now we're coming back to retest it. Whenever you get a breakout above a resistance zone, that resistance zone then has a shift in polarity, and it becomes a level of support. So we're watching this pullback to see how far it's going to pull back to basically before it bounces again. Similar type picture, a couple of different trend lines on the S&P, on the Nasdaq, excuse me. The only other thing that I find interesting on this, which is telling me that, yeah, we may go into a little bit deeper, not a deeper, but a pullback into this zone, is a shooting star on the weekly chart right there. As you can see right there, shooting star on the weekly chart. And we'll see what transpires there. It is definitely not a time where you would be selling out and getting out of the Nasdaq, but at the same time, I'm waiting for a good pullback to be able to get into a position on the Nasdaq, and it also is inclusive of our buddy TQQ. Similar type situation. You're drawing the same trend lines and all that kind of stuff if you're trying to trade the leveraged ETF. And the Russell. The Russell has a very nice little cup thing going on here, back up into a level of resistance there. You can see on the weekly chart. We break out above that, then we probably have clear sailing up at least to the 220, 212 level, and maybe even higher than that. So 212 level, and also then up about the 225 level. If we get a breakout. Right now, we haven't got the breakout yet. Note on the daily chart, TSI has in fact crossed over, but oftentimes you'll get a click up, cross down, and then a bounce back up, and then a sell-off. This could sell off all the way down to the 20-day moving average, about the 191 level, and then that would basically provide us an opportunity to potentially buy IWM. What type of time frame we're looking at? Again, that could take us 1, 2, 3 weeks or more. It may happen next week with the Fed meeting. So what's your thoughts on this, Anil?
Sorry, I was muted. I was saying the triple screen system is saying about the same thing.
Okay.
On the daily and the weekly charts.
Okay, so it's just saying it's a time to wait or wait for the pullback?
Wait for the pullback, maybe.
Okay, so yeah, so I really like that. Let's go ahead and that's what we're looking at for the indexes, guys. Here's just a little brief update on where we're at as of the 21st, about 10 o'clock in the morning. Very pleased. AutoPilot, we've jumped above the 20% or 40% line. And so I love it when I'm ahead of schedule. This puts me ahead of schedule for meeting my 40% target by the end of the year. And there's where we finished up last week. And here's where we're finishing up this week. We had some really, we've had some excellent picks over the so far this year, and we've also been managing them very, very well. So trade secrets, and then we'll get into talking about our stock picks, but just some trade secrets. We've been talking about this, and I had identified 5 habits of a successful trader last week. And the number 1 was develop a robust trading plans. And I'm going to provide you 6 elements of a successful plan that you need to implement. And if you trade with us, you get a copy of my trading plan, and it does implement each one of these elements. 1, your trading plan should tell you what to trade. And I'm get down into the nitty-gritty of what kind of stocks, what kind of ETFs, if you're going to trade futures, what type of futures, but get into the weeds about specifying specifically what you're going to be trading. For me, I trade only IBD quality stocks and the corral or the stable of leveraged ETFs that we've identified as being very successful and having successful runs. And then we're working on developing the ability to trade futures. Number 2, 1 is your plan should tell you when, where, and how to enter. Specifically, how are you going to target shoot getting in so that you buy at wholesale and sell at retail? And leads us to number 3, which is it tells you when, where, and how to exit. That includes covering where you're going to be taking your loss if you have to. I'm convinced, Anil, and really enjoy you, but appreciate your comments on that. I'm thinking that the majority of, when I first learned how to trade, I learned back asswards. And what I mean by that is that, as with so many others, I learned how to trade with basically all the concentration being on how to enter, where to get in, what the pattern should look like, and all that kind of stuff to be able to get in with very little concentration or thoughts about how to exit. And I'm almost thinking that it's more important when you're learning how to trade is to learn how to lose properly or how to exit your trade properly, and then apply that to how you enter. Because I've seen so many traders they're like a deer in the headlights when it comes to, I'm in a trade, I'm up 10%, 15%, 20%. What do I do? And since they don't have it in their plan of how to get out, they let the trade turn against them, and it turns into a big loss. And so, what's your thoughts about that? Do we learn backwards?
No, I think I probably did the same thing, but as I got more into studying that, I'm finding out that most of the trades, on an average, if they go up, it's roughly around between 10 to 15% before they blip or do something. So what I've learned is take profits as they are going up and have a clear plan. Okay. Currently, my plan is to 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 as I get my triple screen signals. Okay. Excellent. I love it. So number 4, what strategy to use? And that's going to be basically build your strategy on top of your system is what I've always seen to work well. And then what to expect. And this includes your expectations. You determine your expectations by doing back testing. And then hook yourself up with a proven mentor, somebody who has basically walked the walk and will help you avoid the landmines that you could run into in your trading. So that basically is the trade secrets for this week. Now let's see what kind of stocks we're picking for this week. I checked out this company, and I very interesting. Greenbrier Companies. Anil, this is your pick for the week. Tell us about it. It's a railroad equipment company, and showed up on my system with the triple screen, as well as I'm following check-in system. Also, it's coupled in with my system. And this is what they call a bullish personality turnaround.
Okay.
And,
what does that mean exactly?
it really means that it's been not beating S&P 500 for a considerable period of time.
Okay.
Fundamentals were not lined up. And now it says the fundamentals are all lined up, and it's just started beating S&P 500, and it has a potential.
Okay, excellent. Now, are you buying it where it's at, or are you going to wait for a little pullback? What's your story there?
No, I'll just let this Fed thing pass, and then I'll let this Federal Reserve.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And pass and then pick it up. I might get in 1/3.
Okay. So yeah, and thanks for bringing that point up, because that's a very important point that a lot of times traders need to consider. Is you don't have to buy in with the full position. You can pyramid in. You can say, hey, I want to pick up a little bit, and if it does what I want it to do, I'll buy more. And for some reason, I think one of the myths that we believe as traders is that you have one shot, you have to buy it all. And for me, at least, when I learned how to spread both my buying and my exits out, it helped me to become much more consistently profitable.
We'll see. I might just pick it up 1/3 and then wait and see what happens.
Okay, I like it. So GBX. Now, my pick for the week. Now, my pick, folks, is a pure technical trade, and that's on Mara. We've traded Mara earlier in the year and had some of our folks do a darn good job of monitoring, taking Mara to the upside. I left the Fibonacci's on here, and I'll show you what we're looking at from a monthly perspective. And the monthly perspective on this, let's just throw, and I'm going to just throw this out really fast, is from the highs here to the lows here. As you can see, it didn't even pull back 50%. I mean, it's way past the 50% mark. It fell from the sky as fast as it went up. Remove that one. There we go. Now on the rest of it, what I'm looking at over here on the daily chart, I've left the Fibonacci. I've taken the Fibonacci from the low down here at the 859 up to the high from just this last week. And I'm looking for a retracement back into the Fibonacci's. And so the anticipation is a pullback into the somewhere between the 618 and the 38.2 Fibonacci box that I talk about on a magic fib box that I talk about a lot. There we go. Let's draw a line in there. Show you where it's at. If prices drop back down to that 1552 level and bounce from there, that tells me I'm in a strong uptrend, and I want to continue to, and I want to buy that as quickly as possible. If it's in just kind of mediocre average uptrend, and it'll pull back all the way to the 1425. If it's in a weaker uptrend and a more volatile, you may get it all the way down here to the 618 retracement, which happens to be right there close to the 50-day moving average. So I'm liking what I'm looking to do with Mara is basically put an alert at the high of the fib box right there at that level there at the 1465, and then halfway down the other one about 1362, and just wait for the price to actions to come to me. And for those of you who've been making a profit on Mara, more power to you. So what's your thoughts on Mara? Or what's the triple screen telling you on Mara?
Batting average of 55, that's pretty good.
Okay.
The risk reward ratio is pretty high in the 4, so I'm liking it.
Okay. Yeah, what I've got is its comp rating on IBD was crappy. I mean, it was 61. But its up-down ratio, 1.7, accumulation distribution, an A, And so people, clearly you can see people have been buying it, but it's run up almost 100% here from when we first started watching this when it was doing this stuff back here. So from this breakout level here, that's 93%. And it's done that in 93% in how long? 25 days. So pretty remarkable. Not for the faint of heart, I think is how they say this. So, well, Anil, that basically keeps us going the right direction. Just want to remind everybody that, you may need to become an autopilot trader. I know I was confused and inconsistent when I first started trading and that's one of the reasons why I developed the autopilot trading system. I send out a weekly pre-flight checklist that tells you exactly what I'm trading, where I'm getting in, where I'm getting out, and explain that along with a video. And so if you're interested in that, just you can find it over at not the YouTube channel, just autopilottraders.com, and it'll link you up there. So just remember, there's our disclaimer. And one thing I will ask you to do, let me throw this out really quick. I have also started to place, and I hope I can get that up here. I hope it doesn't screw up my, over on my YouTube channel, I have basically honed in and pulled together these playlists here that are tutorials, and I encourage you to take a look at those. I've tried to simplify it so that you can just go right to the playlist rather than messing around with all the other videos that are out there. One of them covers all the trade your way to freedoms, but trading tips for more profit. And you click on that, and it basically is talking about how to trade TQQ, how to do Fibonacci's. And I encourage you, go take a look at that. And that does it for today. Anil, when are you heading back to Delaware?
I'm heading back, taking the red eye Saturday night.
Okay. Well, have a safe trip. If you're looking for greater consistency in your trading, check out this playlist with some of my best trading tips. Have a great weekend. See ya. Anil, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Say aloha. God bless.
See you next week.